Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. We are back with the Reley Career Talk for today. My name is Rebecca,
And this is my name is Foley Asamoah.
and we have an awesome guest today. So this awesome guest is someone that I've known for years and years, but I'm going to have her introduce herself right now, and then we're going to get right and jump into the topic of the day.
Hi guys, I am Beya Johnson. I am the owner of Beya Johnson Photography, and I am based in Southern Maryland. Most of you don't know where that is, so I usually just say Southern Maryland towards Chesapeake Beach, North Beach area.
Oh wow.
The boonies, Calvert County area. Usually when I say Chesapeake Beach, people think it's across the bridge, like towards like Kent Island area. And I'm like, no, we're like on the other side.
That's true.
There's nothing wrong with that too. So you're currently that's your primary location?
Yes.
Okay.
So I mainly serve Maryland, DC, and Virginia areas. I don't mind expanding out to 3 hours away from where I'm at. But my home base is in North Beach. So I'm mostly, a lot of my clients are from Southern Maryland, which is really close. But I do serve a lot of PG County, Montgomery County people, and also DC area people. Alexandria is not that far from us. It's about 45 minutes away. It's DC that's a little farther away, about an hour 15 sometimes if it's in traffic, but mostly like an hour away. And we don't mind the drive. If you know anything about the rural area, we're used to driving everywhere. So like an hour drive is nothing to us.
Okay. Our viewers actually want to know specifically, you mentioned clients as well too. What specifically is your business?
Yes, so I do photography, and I mainly do weddings. That is the main thing I do. I do dabble in, it depends on the season. So the down season right now, I would take in branding clients. I can take in family sessions, but my main focus are usually on my wedding clients, and that's usually starts off from June to October, sometimes even through November and December, but our busiest time is usually October and June. For some reason, I don't know if you've heard of the June bug weddings and all of
actually.
that. Yeah, there's a lot
know.
of June brides. June and October brides are the biggest for us.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I want you to take us a little bit back. So you said you do wedding photography, you do branding, you also do family portraits here and there. So tell me, like, how did you get started? Why did you get started? Like, what brought up Beya photography?
Well, I mean, if I could like go way, way back, as a millennial, I don't know if you remember when we used to go clubbing all the time at Love Nightclub and whatever. I was that friend with the point and shoot camera, those back in the days, and then you take a picture and then you go home and you like download it on Facebook and like tag all your friends.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the old-fashioned ones where you just take a picture and then go the negative route.
That was in high school, but you kind of like upgraded the point and shoot one, the little Fujifilm ones that you had, and and
like,
Becca, if you can remember, Becca and I actually went to college together. And so she always remembers, like, I was always that friend that took pictures of people at like family gatherings, all of that. It's always been me. And then I got engaged in 2013. And during that time, it's like iPhones were kind of like brand new, it's something new, like you could take pictures with your iPhone. And at that time I was taking a lot of like my iPhone, like I thought like, oh, this is an upgrade from my BlackBerry. I was taking pictures with my iPhone of like landscapes and stuff. And then I got engaged in 2013, and we had a photographer take our engagement photos, and I was like, I really like this. I want to do something like this. Like, I wonder how people do this. And I just kind of like looked into it. I didn't really dabble into it until 2015 when I finally got my first DSLR. So that's an upgrade from the point and shoot to get to your DSLR camera. And it took some, it is pricey to get camera gear. It's very expensive, especially the lenses are the most expensive part of the gear collection that you have. And it was very pricey, but I kind of saved money. And then my husband obviously also helped with purchasing my first camera, and we got it, and I just practiced on it. Then we got pregnant, and so I had to like put it on the back burner, and until I had my baby girl, that's when I started really like taking lots and lots of pictures and practicing. But I remember like following photographers on there, and I would hit them up, and one of them actually went to UMBC, and it was Kanayo. And I would just say, hey, I just would like to assist you, because even for you to become a second photographer, you really have to be experienced in your craft to also become a second photographer. But you sort of have to humble yourself and say, like, I'm doing this for free. I'll come and assist you. I will carry your bags and stuff so that I can just learn and see how things go on a typical wedding day. And so with that said, I was assisting some photographers. First, I was on as like bag carrier. And then after that, I became a second photographer. I was able to actually photograph as a second photographer for primary photographers. And then I also did this whole thing where I would like call out like model calls, and I would ask friends to model for me and have like creative shoots so that I can practice my craft. And so just kind of like from there, I started improving in my photography. I was confident, but I definitely knew like there's a lot of new photographers that come in and just want to jump into weddings right away, and then they become overwhelmed. But you sort of have to do the work. Like, for you to become confident, you have to sometimes take that free route of doing things where you're like, okay, I'll help you, but I want to also learn from you. Obviously, you're not like bothering the photographer every single time, but through observation, there's such a huge difference when you're observing. Like, if you get that hands-on experience, then you just feel so much better on your own when you start doing your own weddings. So that's basically how I just kind of broke into weddings. But in the beginning, I was also trying families. I was doing all sorts of things. I was doing, oh my gosh, like newborns. I was like, this is not my thing.
Oh, wow.
But at least like I did like, you know, eliminated things that I didn't like. I'm like, okay, I love babies, but yeah, definitely not my thing. And newborn photography is actually like, you really have to know how to pose babies. You can't just go to like any newborn photographer. You have to be careful, because some people like pretend to be newborn photographers and they really do not know how to pose the baby, because you can injure a
Oh,
child.
wow.
So you really have to like look into it and see if this photographer really specializes in this craft. And when I was looking into it, it's like, okay, you really have to know the angles in which you're like putting this baby in. And so I was like, no, that's just too fragile for me. I can't do it. And families, I love. The only thing is, I'm still working full time. The plan in 2020 was to start like gearing up so that I can go full time in photography. Right now, it's a side thing. And with doing families, it takes a lot of time away from my own family. Like on a Saturday, I have to drive an hour away. The session is an hour, and then coming back is an hour. So that's like about 3 to 4 hours away from my family for a really small session. as opposed to a wedding where I can choose to do only 10 weddings per year. And I know that these are the 10 Saturdays or 10 Sundays that I'm away from my family. Like I can plan in advance around them. But if I do too many families, it's like I'm away from home a lot of the time. So I had to choose like which one, what really made me happy and what also was a good time schedule for my family, my work-life balance as well. And I just connected with my couples on a much more personal level. Like I got to see them on their engagement session, and then on their wedding day, I'm with them like for, it depends on what package you get, between 7 to 10 hours that I'm with them. So, and it's just so fulfilling that way. So that's basically how it came about.
Is there a particular camera that you use when you know, in your photography?
Yeah, so I'm a Nikon user,
Okay.
and it was hard to choose. It's sort of that one thing where people always fight between an iPhone and gosh, why can't I think of it?
Because they're insignificant, like a
All the
Samsung.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Android,
Yes,
or is
Yeah.
that
Android.
the program? I don't know, whatever. I'm an iPhone
So,
user. And so I had to just kind of like look in, like do my research, what I really wanted. And it was really hard to choose. Like people are really polarized on this whole, like, which camera should you go for? But ultimately, a lot of the photographers that I loved were Nikon users. And so whenever they had classes, and with a DSLR, you have to learn how to shoot on manual. It's not like I'm taking the camera, I'm just going in to just hit the button. You have to learn how to see light, where to place your couple, and also how to change your manual modes and the mode, and change your aperture, your shutter speed, and all of that for the particular setting that you're in. So it's not like something I'm just taking this camera and I'm just going to take a quick picture. You have to learn how to shoot on manual. And in order to shoot on manual, I had to go on YouTube and learn, like, okay, so if I'm shooting in a dark area, what do my settings need to be on? If I'm shooting in like a super bright, like sunny, extremely sunny day, what do my settings need to be on? And a lot of the photographers that I was following at the time, some of them had YouTube channels where I learned that. And so each camera body is different. So a Canon shooter they're still shooting on manual, and it's the same concept. It's just that the dials are different. It's just a little different. You don't know how, it's, you have to get used to it. But I ended up just, picking Nikon. And I also heard like a lot of National Geographic photographers were Nikon shooters. So, and I
nice.
was always into National Geographic back home. So I was like, hey, I want to be this photographer, like National Geographic. That's how it went about. But right now, I'm just like contemplating about like getting the Sony mirrorless. One of my second photographers ended up getting a Sony mirrorless, and I see his camera and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So the new age right now is photographers are going to the mirrorless route too. So
Okay.
See,
yeah,
when you say mirrorless, what does that mean? Is there like what is
it's
mirrorless?
new technology. It's new
Okay.
technology. So
Okay.
the cameras are lighter, they're smaller, they're sharper. So a lot of people are selling their gears right now. So if you're somebody that's trying to get into photography and you want to purchase a DSLR, I probably would look for used ones, because a lot of photographers are selling their gear for these new mirrorless cameras. So Nikon has come out with one, Canon has, but Sony was I think sorry, I don't want to be wrong because photographers will come at me if I'm wrong, but
Oh
I think
wow.
Sony was the first that came out.
There's a
That came
photographer
out with
union.
There's a photographer tribe out here.
I don't want I don't want them to be like, she's wrong. It's But I think Sony, maybe not. Don't quote me on this, but I think Nikon and Canon were lagging behind with the mirrorless, but they eventually came out with some. But it just kind of sucks. Like with mirrorless, you also have to like get all new lenses as well. So it's an investment. It definitely is. So
Oh wow. So
yeah.
you mentioned earlier too that you were, of course, this is a side hustle. What do you do in your day job?
So I work at University of Maryland full-time as a business manager.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why I didn't pursue photography full time was because my benefits at University of Maryland are incredible.
Yeah, I heard
My
that.
boss is
Yeah.
Yeah.
watching this.
Mhm.
You get retirement, you get everything, health insurance, tuition remission benefits for your children for the first undergraduate degree, or your partner for the first undergraduate degree. They don't remit for master's degree level for your
And
Yeah.
dependents. There's leave. I mean, I'm practically off December 23rd till January 2nd. That's holiday
that's
leave
holiday
in
period.
Yeah.
addition to my other annual and sick leave and all of that. So there's just so many more benefits that I could get out of just being full time in my photography career. And, the plan was eventually I would become full time, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So now I have to like rethink like, do I really want to do this full time? But I mean, eventually I might need to just do something part time, and then so that I'm able to focus on my photography business fully. But in order to make sure I don't go crazy, I don't say yes to every inquiry that comes my way. I cap my weddings so that I know I can handle this is how much I can handle within a year. If an inquiry comes in and I'm already fully booked, I just tell them that I'm no longer available.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, kind of touched on it a little bit. I know that maybe COVID has affected your business because you said you really wanted to kind of move to more
Right.
focusing on photography, but this year has been a challenge. So, what other challenges have you experienced throughout this process of, getting started, learning from other individuals? Yeah,
Mhm.
just explain kind of like maybe top three challenges that you've experienced.
So challenges is just the main one was learning the craft. Obviously, you just can't start shooting weddings without not knowing how to shoot weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some people that have gone ahead, oh, I've learned the camera for like 3 weeks. Now I'm a wedding photographer. And I feel that's something that takes time and experience. And it's just, so the beginning part was making sure like even for my editing part of it, everything was consistent. And I know like finally being able to find my editing style, and that took a little time, but eventually I got a hang of it, and it was through experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, you really have to invest in education when it comes to your craft. And so if you see that there's a mentor out there that's, has a workshop, I I mean, honestly, the workshops that I've been to have just put my business up on such a higher level than I would have done without not going anywhere, just using YouTube itself. But because I've had this like in-person experience and mentorship, I was able to just advance a little faster than most people. And so it's very important to invest in your business for you to get to the next level. So yeah, so learning the craft was the challenge. Obviously having a full-time position at the same time as running this, as well as being a mother, and just juggling everything. That was the second challenge. Getting a hang of it, because in the beginning I was yes woman. I was like, yes, 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 I can do that shoot. Yeah, let's do this, let's do that. And now I'm like, I can pick and choose and say, no, unfortunately, I do not have these dates available. I make sure that we plan vacations in advance. Obviously COVID, we're not doing anything this year. So, or last year, we didn't do nothing. But hey, look, to each their own. I see a lot of people going on vacations, but it was a little careful.
Yes, it's real out here.
Super cautious back here. So yeah, so that's the second one. And then also trying to make connections with people. The wedding industry can get really cliquey at times. So if you do not make those connections with vendors, you kind of feel alone. And so whenever you're a beginner photographer, when you come into the industry, you know, you kind of get like, you know, it's welcoming, but it's not also welcoming. It's like people look at you like, oh, you need to do the work. And I think it's as a result of people, we're in this like culture where people like would just send you a DM really quickly and ask you like to pick your brain. And you're like, look, my time is also like, you know, you just can't like ask somebody like, let me pick your brain, can you tell me this and this and this, like answer me like for free. But instead, like I said, like go through the humble route, like, you know, say, can I help you so I can see how you do this? Or do you offer mentorship sessions? Like, how much do you charge so that I can pick your brain for an hour about this? So obviously in the beginning, my Instagram time in 2015, 2016, everyone was sort of like new into that. And so it didn't bother people. But now the industry is so oversaturated. There's so many photographers out there. And so when you're a new person and you kind of like hit people up, you just have to be like really careful with the way in which you approach people. So, you know, making those connections. And then last one is obviously making sure you make your customers happy. And you can't always like make everyone happy, but find your ideal client in your business. So usually I would have a consultation with my clients. We either have a phone consultation or Zoom, sometimes even coffee. I used to do like the coffee thing, but then it took a lot of my time. And then if the person didn't choose me, I'm like, man, I just wasted 3 hours, like, you know, driving to Starbucks, having a chat with you, you know, loving me and then not like selecting me. So
hold on 1 second, Robeya.
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. Yeah. So yeah, so just making sure that your customers, you put your customers first, and, you know, getting to a point where you're able to pick your ideal client. That's very important. And just making your ideal clients happy. Sometimes it's tough when it's the busy season, but you know, having the contracts in place and just telling them you have to give them give them like a timeline of things. Like I would say, I'll deliver a sneak peek within 24 to 48 hours of your wedding of like 50 photos of your wedding day. The remaining gallery will be issued to you in like 8 to 10 weeks because it takes time to edit photos. And with the busy season, we also have other wedding clients that we have to get through. So just making sure you set all those expectations. And obviously bookkeeping is, I hate it. I really,
Yeah, I feel
I
you.
just, yeah, I think that's also a challenge. But you know, I have a honeybook system that, you know, sends out electronic and electronic contracts as well as my invoices and stuff. And, you know, there's QuickBooks, but I really do not like bookkeeping at all. And to this, where I'm supposed to be doing my taxes, but my husband has been on me about
Okay.
Sounds good.
so awful. But
Yeah.
yes, that's a huge challenge. I think like that's probably my biggest weakness is like the bookkeeping part of it. Especially during tax season. I just getting all my you know, I put all my receipts together and everything like that, but I just do not like doing it.
Okay.
I feel you.
So, I think I have one last question too, for myself too, but what advice can you give to someone who's trying to pursue the photography field? What's the first thing that they should do before entering that type of environment?
I mean, first of all, is like, do you love it? Do you love doing it? Because
Mhm.
once you start getting into it, and investing all this gear and time into it, you know, you gotta really like go into it knowing like, oh, I really like this. And mine was, you know, like I told you from my history in college, I was always that person that took pictures of people and I liked it. And then when I saw what my photographer was doing during my engagement session, I was like, I really, really like this. And so that's why I was passionate about it. Because sometimes when you're not like into something and you think you're going into it to just make money out of it, you might not be happy like in 5 years. So first of all, do you like it? Is this something that you will enjoy doing? And then from there, we're in a day and age where everything is accessible if you have internet. So if you want to get into it, just YouTube it and research, and just do the time in you know, helping out other photographers if you have to be an assistant for a little while, and then just doing it on your own after that. And there's nothing wrong with you asking for help. The only
Mhm.
way you can learn, it's like you invest your time in educating yourself on your craft. And also and just know that there's, you know, certain sacrifices you make where I assisted this photographer for free as an assistant for, you know, 4 hours when I was starting out. You know, if you balance it out, you're like, well, I learned this, I learned to do this, and I saw the timeline, like this is what it takes. And so, you know, just putting in the time, and also um and just making sure like whatever that you get out of it, you know, if you're getting gear, that you do your research. Because once you get like a certain a DSLR, you know, you've invested time in learning that, in learning like say you went into Nikon, you got your first Nikon, you invested your time learning a Nikon, and now are you going to turn around and do another camera? You could, once you learn to do manual, you could always also rent out. You're like, okay, I like Nikon, let me try Canon. And you can rent it. You know, there's a lot of places that you can rent cameras. And so you can rent a Canon and try it out. I mean, it's not hard for me to go on to a Canon and trying to see where the adjustments are. It's just the dials are like on different positions, but it's the same concept, you
Mhm.
know? So I can just, you know, kind of like if I were to pick up a Samsung, you know, some things might look a little weird because I'm an
Mhm.
iPhone user, but it's like the same concept. So just, you know, like I said, there's so much information out there in our age in 2021. Oh my God, if I was starting out in 2021,
The information overload out here.
no, I feel like
It's more
2021
accessible.
minus COVID. Let's say there wasn't COVID at all, but it's
Okay.
2021. And there's like all this like TikToks, like, there's so many photographers on TikToks now. And I'm like, oh my God, all this information you're sharing. I wish like this is something I had in
Mhm.
2015 for free, and
Yeah.
it's
That's true.
free. You're giving me 30 seconds of free content versus me having to search out somebody to help,
But do you think like, so just going back and
Yeah.
saying like, there's TikTok now,
Mhm.
there's Instagram, there's these reels where people are showing you like how to flip this around and things of that nature. Do you
Mhm.
feel like you would be one of those people, like one of those TikTok photographers eventually, or share some of your knowledge and resources with doing those type of things? Or you're just like, that's not my area of interest, or
So I think like just putting yourself out there is a lot. Like I have social anxiety, so I usually try to, because they even say with your Instagram you have to show your face like there's like, it's not a
there's
rule, but
algorithms?
it's a
Yeah.
suggestion that you show your face
Hmm.
like every 6 pictures or something. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to show my face. There's a lot of photographers that like actually, you know, today I'm here and I'm doing this, and like I just feel so awkward doing that myself. But I love it when people do that. I haven't gotten to that space where I want to be like on camera. Like I just don't like the camera on me all the time. So,
Makes
Yeah.
but
sense.
I've thought about TikTok. I'm one of those people that don't post but like watch TikTok.
Watch. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
haven't given TikTok access to my camera
Yeah.
because of all the stuff they're saying, the security issues. But I'm sure
Hmm.
they probably like, because I already downloaded it, I'm sure they have access to whatever they need to have access to. But I just I watch content and I laugh and share stuff with people. But I haven't seen myself get to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post this, even though sometimes I do feel myself. I'm like, oh, let me do a reel real quick. Like there's
That's
days that where
good.
I'm like really feeling like, okay, this week let's do this and let's post this and let's post that. And then there's like a month later sometimes where I'm just kind of like, okay, I haven't posted on Instagram in about a month. And that's the thing. You have to like really market yourself and be out there,
Hmm.
and it's very important that you keep that consistency. So if I were a full-time photographer, this is something that if I didn't cap the number of my weddings and I need like 25 weddings or something like that, I would be doing a whole lot more on my
Hmm.
Instagram and my Facebook and everything like that. So I mean, eventually when I do go full time, I will be doing a lot of those kind of content. Right now, I'm just kind of, I'm like, I'm comfortable. Like, I just don't want to do this whole face like, hey guys, I don't know. I always feel weird, like, hey guys, I'm here and da, da, da. But I do like it when my second photographers like tag me in something and I just like
Uh-huh.
share. But yeah, but if I was fully full time, I would have to like post way more often than I do right now.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
So you mentioned second photographers. So like in an event too, you hire like assistant photographers to help you out with.
Yes.
Okay.
So usually if you have like a guest count of like 125 or more,
Hmm.
we recommend that you have a second photographer. And the second photographer typically helps you out in the beginning of the day and also during cocktail hour, and then a little part of like the reception time.
Hmm.
So depending on the package that you pick, if you pick an 8-hour package, it comes automatically with a second photographer. And so the second photographer goes to, let's say it's the groom's room. He goes and does all the groomsmen and all of that while you're working with the bridesmaids and the families and everything like that. Then during ceremony, you know, you're going around taking different shots. Your second photographer is also getting different shots from you. So you guys are standing on different sides. So that's why it's very essential to have your second photographer there. And your life is just so much easier because you know there's like somebody, if you know your camera mistakenly clunks out, your second photographer is there. But obviously if my camera were to clunk out, I have my second one on my other side, so it's never a problem. And then for couples that don't do a first look and do the traditional, like, you know, the first time they see each other is walking down the aisle, that usually means literally after the ceremony. That's when you're doing the bride and groom pictures, the family portraits, all of that. That at least takes like at least the entire hour of cocktail. And but you also want those shots during cocktail hour where the, you know, guests are schmoozing and stuff. So your second photographer will be with the guests at the cocktail hour taking pictures of them while I'm with the bride and groom with their families. I should probably use I shouldn't use just say bride and groom, but you know, it could
A
be
couple.
same sex couples as well. So yeah, it's just really beneficial having a second photographer there. And then you can have an assistant on top of your second photographer and the person that likes carrying your gear. But usually the assistants are people, photographers, new photographers coming in that haven't had experience yet. Because you want your second photographer to know how to shoot manual. Like
Mhm.
you just don't want somebody that's like coming in to be your second photographer. Like when we look for our second photographers, I need to see your portfolio. Like, are you able to shoot the way that I want you to? So the incoming photographers are usually the newbies that are your assistants.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for really taking the time. Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah. What are I guess what are your upcoming events that are coming up for you that you're looking forward to?
So COVID, like, just kind of
Yeah.
everything. A lot of my weddings that have been postponed from last year to this year. So this is going to be a really rough year for me because I have 2020 couples that have become 2021 couples.
Mm.
And then on top of that, I have 2021 couples. And, you know, a lot of people usually set their dates in advance.
Yeah.
So I already had 2021 couples when 2020 couples were also postponing. So yeah, June is gonna be a busy month. Obviously, if the numbers are not looking good, you know, my couples are already following like CDC guidelines and ensuring that they're not putting their guests at risk and not having like 300 wedding guests or something like that. So hopefully by October, everything is looking okay in this part of
I wish you well.
get vaccinated. Excited for that. But a lot of my 2020 plans, a lot of the couples have now become 2021 couples because a lot of them were very careful. And the 2020 couples that I had, they had like a guest list of less than 30 people
Ooh,
or something like that. Like really small weddings or
small,
like an
yeah.
elopement or you
Mhm.
know something like that. So this year's plans are to just kind of get through what COVID wrecked and then plan ahead for 2022 to eventually go full time. So and I also want to do international weddings. That's one of the other things that I'm looking forward to doing eventually. But then COVID happened. So
Oh,
Mm.
Yeah.
But those are our plans. Yeah, I would like to become an international wedding photographer where I can go to like Italy or like Greece. Like, take me there. I'll come.
That's nice. So thank you, Robeya, for taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, of course.
So I know that people are going to be watching this and really want to know, okay, how can I get in contact with you? What is your handle? We're going to put it down at the bottom, but
Sure.
just for the sake of telling us, so what is your handle? And is there another way that people can reach you? Is
Yeah, so you
Instagram
can
the
go to my
primarily way, or
website.
you have a website? Let
Mhm.
us know those details of how we can reach you.
Sure. My website is www.beyajohnson.com. So Beya, B as in boy, EYA Johnson.com. I'm actually redoing my entire website right now. It will be up soon, in mid-April. That's the target date. I'm just rebranding everything. And you can contact on my website. There's my email address where you can contact me. And then if you want to look at my work right now, you can also go to my Instagram. It's at Beya Johnson, just to follow me. And just, hit me up via email is the best place to reach me. Sometimes the Instagram messages come out as like junk. So just have to be really careful with that. I mean, you could still contact me through that way and I'll get back to you, but the best way to correspond with me is through email. And you can do that through my website.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We had a pleasure talking with you
Yeah, I had a
today.
good time.
Yeah, it was very nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you too.
Hi, Becca.
All right.
All right.
That is like my go-to photographer, guys. So I have some nice shots on my
It better
Instagram.
be.
And I think you guys should use Beya Photography. She's
Of you
awesome.
since we
Like
used to take,
years,
we used to
like
take photo
literally.
shoots during church.
We
Like after
did. After church, everywhere, we take pictures. So I highly recommend her. But you can use others, but that's my number one go-to person. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
talking with us
Beya, for
today.
talking to us too.
Of
Have a
course.
good day.
See ya.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Well, this completes our latest episode of Reley's Career Talks. I'm your host, Foley, and this is my host,
Rebecca.
Yes, and you can reach us at our website at www.rayleyscareerservices.com, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn at Reley's Career Services LLC. This concludes our episode, and you guys have a great day.
Yes, and additionally, if you want us to talk to different people, you have different topics, things that you want us to address on our talk series, feel free to respond to our down in the comments section, or even send us emails or contact us through our Instagram and social media, and we'll be happy to incorporate what your suggestions are. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.